All right. Grumpy Billy Goat terrorizes town. All right, evidently I'm supposed to watch this. All right, I'll watch it. Here we go. With my hotel internet. Oh, this is great. I love goats. There was just two people on a scooter. This fucking thing just knocks him over. Oh, watch it, lady. You got to feel the backside pressure. Backside pressure. Get rid of the ball. Get rid of the ball. Are you looking for the Tom Brady fucking treatment? Yeah, that's it. No flag there. Come on, UFC. You can't kick when they're down. Look at this guy coming in. There you go. Front kick, front kick. Oh, he's going like what's his face there? Come on, man. Who do I root for here? This is you know what? Come on. I want the guy in the striped shirt. There you go. Kick that motherfucker. You hit your lady. This thing's a pimp. Should have kicked it right in its fucking udder. Dude, I would grab that thing by its fucking head. Is that a cop? That's hilarious. This is definitely another country. If that was a cop here, they'd fucking shoot it. He loves that dude in the striped shirt. This guy's going to slip and fall and crack his head. Dude, he runs like a girl. Come on, man. That was interesting. I liked it. I love goats, man. The thing is you can't show any fear, man. I like how that guy was trying to give him the front kicks, like the Anderson Silva, right? All right, I don't know why the fuck would I watch that? You guys can't see it, right? Well, you know what? Grumpy Billy Goat terrorizes town. That's what you want to look at if you want to see the commentary there. Now, where the fuck was I? All right. I love goats, man. I've ever tell you that shit? Like, that's the pet I should have had. They just smell really bad, though. But, like, you know, I always like wrestling with my dog and shit, but it makes the dog aggressive. But goats are already like that, and they live outside, so they're not going to be anywhere near your company. I should get, you know, that's the next thing I'm going to get a goat, right? I just have it in a pen. Get it a friend, right? They can fucking hang out. And then every morning I'll come out there and I'll be like, what's up? You know, reach over the fence, grab it by its beard, get a little fucking yank, you know? Get the thing going. Wrestle around with it for a little bit. You know what it is? I didn't get any fucking sleep. So last night we ended up going to White Castle. And I got 2 doubles and 2 chickens and a little bit of French fries or whatever after eating well all day. By the way, the Paramount Theater's food is fucking sick. If you're there, you get the sliders. And he's got these little tuna fucking cigar things. They roll them up in this little shell thing like a cigar, and they sprinkle pepper on the end so it looks like a fucking cigar. It's the shit. I still think I ate pretty good, but like the White Castle obviously fucking killed me. So Vinny ends up driving me, and he's telling me all these great stories about the East Side Comedy Club and all the people that he worked with. So he drives me back into the city, drops me off where I'm staying, and as his car drives away, I realize I left my cell phone in his car. So I'm like, fuck. So I see this fucking dude sitting down, right, on the stoop. So I'm like, I fucking run, next door. I said, hey, man, my buddy just took off in car. Can I just use your cell phone just so I can call? He's holding his cell phone. So I can just call, blah, 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 and get my phone back. Could you just let me make a real quick phone call? And the guy just looks at me and just goes, he's like looking up. He's sitting on the first stair. I'm looking down at him. He just looks up and he just goes like, yeah, no. I'm just like, really? You fucking cunt, right? So just this little fucking dweeb. I should have just slapped the fucking phone right out and thrown it in a puddle. So I'm just, what a fucking dick. So then I run down. There's a bar in the corner. And there's this fucking dude all tattooed up. Neck tattoos, the whole fucking thing. I just talked to like the biggest pussy ever, and he said no. Now I'm going to go up to this guy from like fucking the Sons of Anarchy. I just say, fuck it. I go, man, can I just use your cell phone? I told him the whole thing, and he just goes, yeah, sure. Let me fucking use it. I called him, and I was fine. That little fucking prick. So I was standing there waiting for my buddy to come back. I'm just staring at the guy, and I had to actually be like, I actually respected him on some level. Remember he just looked at me, and I just looked like such a fucking Ron Howard looking jackass that he had no respect for me. What a fucking... It's been a while since I just prayed for something like really bad to happen to somebody. You know? And like really bad, I just mean like his AC breaks and nobody comes and fixes it. He just sits there in the fucking heat wave. Anyways, this really feels like the worst fucking podcast ever. I got like the fucking hiccups. You know, I don't even know where the fuck I'm at. Advice, strip club with wife. Oh, Jesus. Hey, Bildo. That's a good one. I've heard that one before, but it's always nice to bring that one back. Me and my wife and 6 of our friends are planning a trip to Vegas early next year. Bars, strip clubs, the whole shebang. I'm 27 and my wife is 26. We've been married for 4 years. I was wondering if you and Nia or past girlfriends have gone to strip clubs together, and if so, what's the etiquette? Neither me or my wife have been to a strip club before. Obviously, I wouldn't mind taking in the sights, but also don't want to be a piece of shit. Oh, God, this has fucking train wreck written all over. I know this isn't exactly something on my wife's bucket list, but I don't think she'll hate it either. She's told me in the past she appreciates the female body. Not necessarily grinding on mine, though. I think she'd probably enjoy it more if I wasn't there. LOL. Would love to know what you and Nia would have to say on the subject. Thanks. Well, Nia's not here. This is what I would say. Okay? You need to stay as sober as humanly fucking possible, and you need to not indulge at all. What your indulgence should be is your wife enjoying the experience. That's what you do. All right? And I would not get a fucking lap dance in front of my wife. I would not do that. Not that my wife, Nia wouldn't give a shit, but my wife is like ridiculously fucking cool. My wife is honestly one of the coolest females. She transcends her sex. The only reason why I say she's a cool female is because so many of them are fucking nightmares, and they won't let you do anything. They won't let you have any fun or whatever. Like, she just, you know, you guys hear on the podcast, that's not an act. She's that fucking cool and funny. But most people are not in that situation. So there's a few red flags in there. You're going with other couples. Like, let the other couples get into the fights. Because somebody's going to go too fucking far. Somebody's going to get too drunk. Somebody's going to fuck up. And somebody's going to have that fucking thing brought up for the next 10 years in their fucking marriage. Because God knows that's what the fuck they do. So all your mission that night is to not be that guy. Strip clubs are not going anywhere. Okay? You can always go to one another night when she's not fucking there. Or if she actually ends up having a good time the second time. And just literally tell her, just say, listen, I wasn't going to get drunk and I wasn't going to do anything to embarrass you. Then she'll fucking respect you. So I would just say, go real easy on the booze there. And, you know, get your wife a fucking lap dance. That's what you do. And then just say, you know, and just say you're good. You're good. You know, and when your fucking guy friends are all trying to pressure you into doing something, just tell them to go, you know, yeah, I'm cool. Don't worry. I'm having a good time. Okay? And let them do all the dumb shit. Let them wake up the next day when you guys go to breakfast and be the ones that have to say, yeah, sorry, I got a little crazy last night. Or be the ones that are clearly just had a huge fight and are not talking during breakfast. You don't need that shit. All right? You don't need that shit. It's a very, all of that type of shit. There's like, when you're sitting there going, what are the rules? The rules are the rules that you and your wife come up with. And the fact that your wife has never been to one is just all of the fucking makings of a shit show. So like I said, I'm not going to I'm going to say this again because you're a young guy. Do not be the drunk guy. And I'm telling you, just make sure she has a good time. Ask her if she's all right. Ask her if this is cool, if she wants to get out of there. Just totally be attentive to her, and there's no way it can be a fucking problem, and then you can get on with your goddamn life, and then fucking whatever. Some other time, you go to a titty bar, maybe you bring her along. You know, she might fucking end up wanting to see you get a fucking lap dance. And you're like, you serious? Yeah. And then she'll be like, all right, which one do you want? You know, and then that's another thing that could be a fight. You know what I mean? You fucking pick some, I don't, that's just one of those, it's just one of those things. I remember one time, there's this famous strip club in Los Angeles called Jumbo's Clown Room. Okay? And it is just as creepy and disgusting as it sounds. I don't think it's like that anymore. It's way better now. But back in the day, it was literally like, if I was a serial killer, like that would be my Starbucks. You know what I mean? Sit there with my laptop in a chat room with other serial killers. I mean, it was a fucking disgusting place. So, I had been there maybe 3 times over the course of 20 years going out to L.A., and it was always just a shady, shifty fucking place. So one time I was out with Nia, and she brought up that she wanted to go to this fucking place. And I was just like, are you serious? You want to go to that place? I don't want to go to that place. I go to that place. It's not a cool place or whatever. So she goes, come on, let's just go. So, all right, fuck it, let's go. It's her fucking idea. So we ended up going there. And I sat over in the corner. I didn't get a lap dance or anything like that. But I think I've told this story before. I literally saw a stripper quit on stage that night. It was fucking amazing. We walked in, and there was like one guy sitting up near the stage, and there was like 3 other people up at the bar with their backs to the stage. So this woman comes out looking a little rough, and she starts doing a thing. She dances to one song. The song ends. Nobody claps. Okay? The guy who was sitting up near the stage was not there anymore. So now it kind of becomes like a philosophical question. Like basically, if I'm in a strip club dancing, but nobody's watching me, am I technically still in show business, right? So basically what happened was, no one was fucking paying attention. So she ends the first song, 'cause I'm wanted, dead or alive. She slowly slides down the pole. And then the next song starts, and she's just laying there. And she's not dancing. She's not doing anything. And I'm going like, oh, my God. This was like watching a boxer, like, not answer the bell, right? And just quitting on the stool. And she just rolled over. And somehow she had her cell phone. And she just started checking, like, her fucking emails. And at that point, like, one of the barback ladies walked by, saw it, and laughed and said, that's awesome. And she just laid there for the rest of the song and didn't dance and gathered her shit, didn't take up any more of her clothes. And that's like she quit being a stripper. She just quit dancing for the night. And I thought it was fucking awesome. Yeah, as a performer, I respected it. You know what I mean? It's like if you're a comedian, I'm doing my act and no one's listening, no one's paying attention. I'm just going to stop and I'm going to shit on the crowd. That's it. I'm not going to waste my time doing my material. So why should she take her bottoms off and show everybody the fucking world if they're not even going to look at it? Right? So there you go. There's my fucking stripper story. But me and Nia never had a problem. I want to say I've gone to a couple. Have I been to a couple? Maybe one other with her. I got to tell you, it's not fun. It's not fun to go to a titty bar with your wife or even with other women. It's just like everything. I used to do a bit in my act about that. Like when women started going to titty bars, they would always go like, at some point they always say, this isn't as bad as I thought it was. I think this isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And the joke of my act was, yeah, because you're here. Leave and it'll get evil again. That's one of the worst things ever that happened, that women started going to titty bars. You know what I mean? It's like, can't you just go to a fucking male one? Can't you go to the fucking Chippendales one and have some fucking goddamn dick swinging in your face? If you're a lesbian, then yeah, come on in. Have a good time, right? It's just like they just constantly have to be around us. It's fucking unbelievable. They think we're stupid. They think we do dumb shit, but they just can't get enough of doing every dumb fucking thing that we do. San Diego versus Kansas City. I'm going to go with the man with a million children and pick San Diego, right? I forget everybody's name the second the season ends. What's the guy's fucking name? He's got like 9 kids. What's his fucking name? What is his name? Not Andrew Luck, not Eli Manning, not Tyrod Taylor, not Derek Carr, not Matthew Stafford. Phillip Rivers. I'm going to go with the man, the man with the golden gun. This is the man with the million kids. He's like real life the fucking Waltons. And if you're going to have 9 kids, you might as well be a fucking multimillionaire. Can you imagine what Christmas must be like at their house? Like how many fucking trees they have. It's got to be insane. He probably buys all these sick-ass fucking gifts. You know what I mean? If I had 9 fucking kids and I had his money, I'd buy them all like electric cars, and I'd make them, those little toy cars that you can sit in, little kid can sit in. I'd make them race themselves around the fucking thing. I'd have one of those circular driveways, right? I'd have time trials on Saturday. I'd put them all in the super softs on Sunday, and I'd let them just fucking whip around. And whoever won got dessert and got to hang with me, and then the rest of them would be banished to the loser wing of my mansion. And sure, they would resent me. A lot of them would cry, especially the little ones. But there'd be no excuses come Sunday. Even if you were a baby, if you couldn't figure out how to just roll down onto the gas pedal and at least make a fucking effort, slam into somebody, then that would be it. You would be banished. If my wife didn't like it, she would be banished too, right? This is why God never let me be a fucking NFL quarterback. That's exactly what I would do. If I had 9 fucking kids, Jesus Christ, every one of them would have like chores, and I would never have shit to do. Do you have 9 kids? You can actually run a farm. So if you just live in a fucking house, you know what I mean? I'd give each one of them a room. You clean up the study. That's your job, right? If you don't clean up the study, I'm taking away your car. You're gonna get punished. A couple of grid positions come Sunday. You're never gonna have fucking dessert again. You'd have to be strict with 9 kids, I would think, right? Jesus Christ, how many belts would you have to go through during the course of your, or if you're that dude from the Vikings, like how many fucking weeds or switches would you be pulling out of the ground? What kind of a fucking lunatic hits his own son in the nuts with a switch? You know what I mean? I get it. That's the way you were brought up. But, you usually try to correct shit with your parents. At some point you'd be like, I'm going to stop short of hitting my own son in his little fucking prepubescent ball sack with a fucking switch. You would like to think that someone would make that leap. But, not everybody is as enlightened as me. I like giving people advice that have children and I don't have any. You know what I mean? If you had 9 kids, you could even if nobody had any musical ability, if you sent all 9 of them to American Idol, you got to think one of them would at least make it to Vegas, right? Someone would just have to be able to carry a fucking tune. Jesus Christ, that's a giant goddamn table. 5 kids on one side, 4 on the other. Your wife on one side, you on the other. I mean, how many fucking turkeys is that? It's a lot of goddamn kids. That's fucking nuts. That's like turn of the last century level kids. You know what I mean? They would just have 9 because you knew someone was going to die of polio. Somebody was going to get tuberculosis, right? Someone was going to fall down a fucking well. And right there, you're down to 6. It starts getting nervous. I mean, those crops, the harvest is coming in. We're down to 6 fucking kids. Your wife's just laying on her back making fucking bread with one hand, churning butter with the other. And you just, at the end of the day, you come in and you just fucking walk right between her legs like you do when you're behind the herd of oxen. You just fucking put another one in her. Dude, you know what you'd be like? You're like a college basketball coach. It's like coaching Kentucky at that point, the way the kids would leave you. Kentucky, they're like one and done, all the good players. So, like, You constantly got to be fucking out there priming the pump, throwing the dollar bills around, handing out gold Trans Ams, right? But back in the day, rather than leaving and going to the pros, they were just dying. You know what I mean? The more they died, the more farmland they took up. I mean, granted, they were enriching the soil. If their bodies well, the bodies would decompose back then, right? But they still put them in the boxes. But you couldn't plant over there. You know what I mean? Oh, my God, I'm eating this cauliflower. For some reason, I'm thinking about Eddie. Oh, that's interesting you say that, honey, because that's right where I fucking buried him. Yeah, when the Native Americans decided to do a drive-by. And he took a fucking hatchet to the head. I told him to duck. He didn't. He was weak. He doesn't deserve to live. All right? And there you go. Now you're down to 5 kids. Now you're down to 5 kids. I'm going to Google this right now. Ways to die in 1900. Let's see what comes up. All right, ways to die in 1900. Wasn't this a sitcom? It was a short-lived sitcom, right? It was on right after 8 Ways to Fuck Your Mother, whatever the fuck it's whatever the fuck it's called. All right, ways to die. How we died 200 years ago. Leading causes of death in the U.S. in 1900. All right, this is how your kids died. If you had, this is why you had to have 9 kids back in the day. All right. Influenza, pneumonia. See ya. There goes a good 2-3 kids. Tuberculosis, I called that. This is like the morbid family feud. Gastrointestinal infections. Heart disease. And then cerebrovascular disease, whatever the fuck that is. What about farming equipment? By 1950, it was heart disease. Oh no, this isn't kids though. I gotta say kids. Ways to die as a kid. Jesus, what sort of watch list does this put me on? All right, let me type this out. Ways to die as a child in 1900. Well, childbirth was one of them, and you lost your wife. That was like your scout, right? Fuck. Who's going to keep bringing in the new talent? Ways to die, trends, death. There's historical horror of childbirth, all right? Leading causes of death. You know what? They're not going to have it. Death in childbirth. Whatever. I'm still going with farming equipment, you know? Dad's out on the team of oxen. Go tell Pa it's time for dinner, right? And you go out there and the oxen get spooked or some shit and they run over you. Bill, we don't want to know about fucking dead farm kids. All right, well, you know, what the fuck you want from me?
It's another thing that I was looking up is as beautiful as these states are, you know, that I've been going to, all of these states that people, you know, consider flyover states and fucking what the fuck goes on there, you know, just shitting all over them, even though they're absolutely gorgeous and there's great people out there, is, you know, just the drug use and that type of shit is really fucking bad. The heroin, man, everywhere I go is this fucking heroin problem, and they keep linking it back to these, you know, people having an injury. I saw this on Real Sports. People have an injury, and then they get, like, whatever. They get the fucking, what is it, Percocets, Vicodin, I don't know what the fuck it is, Oxy and that shit. And then when that runs out, they still want that high, and heroin is cheaper. And it's just like, you know, once again, you would think, you know, with all this shit of talking about terrorism, you know, and people doing shit to this country, for some reason you can fuck with the food supply and you can get your own countrymen addicted to heroin. And as long as you got enough fucking money, nobody gives a shit. It's completely like, isn't that like an act of terrorism? Am I out of my fucking mind? How can you do that to fellow Americans? You're ruining people's lives. It's fucking brutal. But it's one of the reasons why I stay out of the politics shit. You know, every once in a while I look at the stuff and it just, I don't know. It's like overwhelmingly depressing. You know, like I saw something the other day on, for some reason I was looking up Chelsea Clinton because I saw her on TV with Hillary, and Hillary was giving a speech like, right? And I was literally going like, there's no fucking way I can listen to that voice for 4 fucking years. I just can't. I am not against a woman being president whatsoever, but you cannot sound like somebody learning how to play a trumpet. I don't give a shit. You could have all the answers to the fucking universe. You can't hear what she's saying. You know? My dog's looking at me right now like, really? So anyway, I looked up and I was just going like, how old is she now? And when I started out in comedy, she was just a kid. And, she was at that awkward age. And it was kind of this nice unwritten rule, you didn't make fun of her. Well, she was at a fucking awkward age, right? And I was thinking, what was she, like 12 or something like that? And I went to go look it up, how old she was. Found out she was in her 30s, which fucking blew my mind, even though obviously it was 20 years ago, right? But what killed me is what I saw was they had a stat on her wedding. Do you know her parents fucking threw her a $3 million wedding? Like, these politicians are so fucking dishonest, they don't even try to hide it. It's like, how the fuck could you afford a $3 million wedding? The most money either one of you ever made in public service was being president, which was $400,000 a fucking year. Dude, you make $400 fucking grand a year, they're gonna whack you in half. You're gonna maybe walk with 200, right? Nowadays, probably less than that, probably 195. Where the fuck are you getting off paying for a fucking? You got a fucking $3 million wedding, a house on fucking Martha's Vineyard. Give me a fucking break. These cunts go around, right? I got another Hershey's Kiss in my mouth, so you know I'm telling the truth. These guys go around, they just give speeches. Him and his wife. $250, $300,000 a fucking whack. Just giving speeches. Can you imagine paying $300,000 to listen to somebody for an hour and go, right, for a fucking hour? And now you got sickly Clinton with that awful facelift that he got, which just made his head look fucking huge. He's lost all that weight, and he got a chin, whatever the fuck he did to his chin. He yanked that fucker back. He looked like a bobblehead version of himself. And I'll tell you, his shit's yanked back so tight he can't even clap anymore. You know what I mean? Either that or that's his true feelings about his wife, right? Which you can't blame. You really can't blame Bill Clinton for going out and taking a cigar and putting it in that woman. You know what I mean? If, like, that's what he's laying next to in bed. I mean, Jesus Christ, if I was married to Hillary Clinton, she would have to have, those surgical masks that Asian people wear when they get sick because they don't want to get anybody else sick because they're fucking courteous, or because there's like 9 zillion people that live next door. It could turn into an epidemic. I don't fucking know why they do it, right? I would make her wear one of those all the time because maybe then she'd sound like a muted trumpet. Right? And every once in a while, she'd hit a couple of notes that remind me of a Miles Davis song, and then maybe I could just stop myself from strangling her in the fucking Oval Office. Just reminds me like an animal that like is getting eaten alive. You ever hear that? Like just like the time I saw that fucking monkey eating that other monkey alive, just digging meat out of its back, and things like, it's sort of a like. Not as sharp and not as quick as that. Anyways, and then fucking that Bernie Sanders guy with his fucking... Now you look at... you wonder why Bill Clinton got a fucking facelift, and then you fucking got his neck done. Then you look at Bernie Sanders, you're like, oh, that's why. Jesus Christ. He looks like a bloodhound eating a fucking turkey dinner. Jowls flopping all around. You're the Federal Reserve, right? All of these guys. That Jersey guy looks all fat. And then everybody else just looks like an extra to me. Granted, I have not listened to one fucking word any of them have said. But it's going to be interesting. Oh, really, Bill? You think it's going to be interesting? A presidential election? That might pique your interest, you freckled, arrogant cunt?
All right, lobster anesthesia. Old Billy Red Lobster. I've never eaten at a Red Lobster. I just never had the courage to fucking eat like fast food seafood. It always seems like if anything's going to give you food poisoning, it's going to be the bottom feeders of the ocean, right? They've already eaten the fecal matter there, right? So the only time I've ever been to a Red Lobster, I actually performed there. Remember a long time ago, I did a stand-up show in a Red Lobster with this fucking hilarious comedian, Julie Barr, and a couple other people. And it was just one of those shows early in my career where you're going in there and everybody on the show, before we go up, we all know we're going to take a fat one. It's going to be difficult. And you're just laughing. You just stand there going, this is fucking impossible. There's families here. Are we allowed to curse? What's going to happen? People got bibs on. They're trying to navigate this fucking little red dinosaur in their plate. How the hell are they going to listen to me? I suck when they're paying attention, you know? So anyways, let's get back to Red Lobster here. There actually is a method that is supposed, and he said, I'm no lobster neurobiologist, to numb lobsters before you boil them. You stick the lobster in the freezer for a few minutes before slicing it through the brain. The freezer is supposed to be the most humane way, because at least when people start to freeze to death, they eventually feel a warmth go over them and they start to become unconscious. Supposedly, this helps the flavor because the anesthesia decreases the stress hormones release compared to the dude being boiled while conscious or having its brain chopped in half like the obituary song. Hope this helps and have a blessed day. Fucko. If you stick a lobster in a freezer for a few minutes, it's just going to freeze. It's just going to be really cold and be miserable. And then you're going to stick it in the fucking hot water. You know something? I'm never eating lobster again. Okay? They do enough bad shit to chicken and cows and stuff. I don't need to add this. It's just so fucked up. I was watching this thing on this French restaurant, and this guy takes these live lobsters and puts them over an open flame. It's just like, yeah, I always go back to that time I watched that chimpanzee catch that smaller monkey, and he stood on the thing, and he just started just digging into its back, pulling its back meat out as this thing was screaming. It's just like we're fucking animals, man. There's no fucking reason to do that, man. I still think what I'm saying is better. You just take a little lobster bat, you bash it over the head, immediately unconscious. Like if somebody hit you in the head as hard as they could with the bat, you're not going to feel any pain. You're not even going to fucking remember it. You can't do that to those things? I don't know. It just seems wrong. Hey, what's going on? It's Bill Burr, and it's time for the Monday Morning Podcast for Monday, September 12th, 2016. What's going on? How are you? I'm in Virginia right now. Okay, the state that professional sports forgot. Virginia is such a fucking enigma. You know what I mean? It's like you're in the South. They don't have any professional teams. And then their college teams haven't made enough fucking noise. You know what I mean? Like if you're in South Carolina, they don't have a professional team, but they got Clemson. They got the Gamecocks. Right up here, you got Virginia, you got Virginia Tech. You know, no fucking disrespect, but, you know, last time Virginia was on the map for me was when Ralph Sampson played center for your team. Having done my final show here in Richmond, been having a great time on this tour. Todd Rex has been fucking destroying. And I want to thank everybody that came out to Charleston, South Carolina. We hit that cigar bar again. You know, I haven't really worked out. I've eaten like okay or horrifically. I'm hoping, you know, 5 days on the road I'll tell you, it's a rough one, you know. Charlotte was great. Fucking Todd took me to this goddamn one of those, you know, mom and pop chicken places, right? Which was fucking delicious, but, you know, like 9 million calories. I didn't eat for the rest of the goddamn day after that place, but so we went there, and then this friend of ours who was down there took us over to the Charlotte Motor Speedway, and they got this thing called the NASCAR Experience, where you can literally take this class and learn how to drive the car and all that. But, you know, we didn't have time to do that. So they had a fucking NASCAR, and they took us around the track doing about 165 miles an hour. Took me first and then Todd, and we sat in, like, the passenger seat. Like Luke Duke. And went around, and I got to tell you, like, this is the amazing thing. Because they try to keep the car so light, you feel like you're in an absolute piece of shit. I mean, even like the gas pedal, the throttle, was like, it was like the tiniest thing I've ever seen in my life. It didn't even have the pedal on it. Any weight that they can get out of the car, they get out of the car. So all it was, I should have taken a picture of it. It looked like, it was like the thickness of a fancy coat hanger. And it kind of came up through the floor and then just went up and, like, started to make the letter F, but it didn't have that short little one. That's all it was. I'm like, your foot doesn't slip off that? And the kid's just laughing, going, no, it doesn't. It was some 21-year-old kid flying around the fucking track at like 165 miles an hour. And I got to be honest with you, I didn't do well through the first, like, lap. And then I kind of settled into it. I don't mind going fast if I'm the one driving. But, you know, just sitting in a chair as someone else is going 165 miles an hour, that close to the wall, was pretty goddamn intense. But I want to thank everybody over at the NASCAR facilities for letting us do that. But I have to tell you, instantly, the heat, the level of heat that was in that fucking car, because it was a really hot day, I can't imagine, with all those people watching, all of those other cars driving around the track, how fucking hot it gets. And then also, you know, you kind of get thrown around the car a little bit. Like I said, it's not like you're riding in a Lincoln Continental. And I don't know. My biggest concern is smelling all those fumes and all that shit and just driving around. I'd probably get sick just driving in a circle. Like, the level of concentration that it would take to just keep fucking doing that for 2.5 hours, however long it takes. There'd be a while I would just pull in the pit stop and just be, yeah, dude, I don't want to do this anymore. I did it. Went around the block. How many fucking times I got to do this? I don't want to do this shit. Forget about actually hitting the wall. That's what I just kept thinking about. For some reason, I wasn't thinking about going in head first. I was thinking about if you got spun around and you went, you know, rear of the car in first, just how bad that would fuck up your back. But it was cool. We got to ask the driver, you know, about some of his worst wrecks and all that type of shit. And then we went down and did the show. And one of these nights, I did like a fucking 2-hour show. I think that was in Charlotte. I got to stop doing that. I'm supposed to get my act down to about an hour and 20 minutes, but I'm thinking this special is going to be somewhere between 120 and 130. Just an absolutely incredible run. I'm telling you, people sleep on the South. They really do. How fucking great it is down here. But like I said, I've never been tailgated the way I was tailgated from fucking South Carolina up to Charlotte, and Charlotte over to Norfolk, Norfolk over to fucking Richmond. They get down to these 2-lane highways, and I'm telling you, it's like a NASCAR race. They're right on your ass there. I like Pirates. I don't know when the fuck did Pirates end? I know recently there was a pirate movie because Tom Hanks made the movie. I love how Tom Hanks is just like, if there's any sort of heroic act, it's like he has to play the part. I don't give a fuck if you're in space, all right? If there's a disease, he's done the disease. He's been lost in space. He's dealt with pirates. I'm sorry, my voice is fucked. Pirates. He's dealt with identity theft. He's landed a plane in the Hudson River. You know what I mean? And he's great at all of it, but it starts to get to the point of, like, who the fuck does this Tom Hanks think he is? You know, as much as he's doing all of this in the movies, has Tom Hanks ever rescued a cat out of a tree? You know what I mean? I just don't understand where where he gets off accepting all these roles. At some point, I mean, if I was him, I'd be like, I have to go out and go do something heroic, something. You know what I mean? I gotta, help an old lady cross the street. Is that a weird thing to think? Like, if I was like one of those action heroes, at some point I would have to learn how to fucking shoot a gun. I'd have to get in a bar fight, and you'd have to win, at some point. Or you just feel like when you feel like an asshole on set. I mean, how many times can you do that Bruce Willis look over your shoulder where you raise up one eyebrow and you just catch the camera crew looking at you? And when they could all beat the shit out of you, and you're sitting there in this fake third of a plane. Right rudder, or whatever the fuck you gotta yell. Yeah, Bill, it's called acting, you douchebag. Yeah, I'm just fucking around. I love Tom Hanks. You know what I mean? He seems like a swell guy. He's very wholesome. You know what I mean? It's funny. He started off, I don't think the religious right would have liked him, when he was in the dress. But I think gradually he's become very, appealing to the people on Fox News. He totally redid himself, like a lot of Republicans. A lot of Republicans start, at some point they're in a dress, right? And then they apologize and they say that it's the booze. You know what I mean? And then they just get super hardcore into Jesus. Whereas your Democrats, they're fucking, they're in their bare feet in college, walking around, taking LSD and all that type of shit, Then they lie about it later. I don't even know what I'm talking about. All I know is I just wish I could hit pause and never have this election happen. All right, Dad won't quit smoking. Oh, Jesus. Your dad will not quit smoking. What the hell's wrong with him? He's gonna kill himself. All right. Hey, Billy Rednuts. My dad's been smoking since he was 14 years old. And at 62 years old, he recently had his second heart attack. Jesus Christ. The doctor has told him flat out, if you want to live, you have to stop smoking. Yeah, I would think so. Even after hearing this, he lit up a cigar 5 minutes after getting out of the hospital. I got into a huge argument with him about it, and I told him if he didn't give a shit about his health, then I shouldn't care either. We didn't talk for months. Wow, dude, this is fucking heavy here. We've tried reasoning with him. We've tried yelling at him. We've tried guilting him with the "don't you want to walk me down the aisle" routine. None of it works. To clarify, he smokes cigars every single day, all throughout the day. So it's more than an occasional puff. His diminishing health is visible in his everyday interactions with us. It's harder for him to breathe. Is he inhaling? He can't walk as fast or as far as he used to. He can barely play with his grandkids, and his face has aged immensely since the last heart attack. Every time I get a call from a family member, I get anxious that it's going to be the call, telling me my dad has had his last heart attack. I'm constantly on pins and needles, and it's really starting to affect me. Yeah, I would think so. As someone who has struggled with certain vices yourself, what finally made you feel like you wanted to limit your intake? Is there a way I could get through to my father and get him to quit for good, or should I just accept the fact that we all go someday and let him enjoy himself for the limited amount of time he has left? Thanks, and go fuck yourself. All right, wow. All right, what makes me want to limit my intake is because I don't want to end up being like that. But I also, I don't know, I don't like having shit have control over me. You know what I mean? And I also found that, like, when you're just constantly smoking a cigar, if you smoke too much, like, they're not special anymore. Like, it's great when, I like now just planning a cigar night, like a couple weeks away. Like, the absolutely fucking hilarious Bert Kreischer is one of the great guys you could ever hang out with. Forget about smoke a cigar with. He's trying to organize a cigar night. And I already have it circled on my calendar. I'm excited. I'm thinking about what cigar I'm going to have. But, like, when I just have a whole box of them, and every night I'm just going out there smoking. It's just, you start smelling like a cigar. It's bad. It's like, if I'm drinking every night, I don't know. It's just one of those things where I don't like the way I feel. I don't like the way I feel when I wake up in the morning. And I know it's bad. I know it's aging me. I just know, I know it's bad for me. But with your dad, that he's been doing this for so fucking long, I would be livid at my dad if he was doing that. And I would be unbelievably frustrated, and I would continue, obviously, to try to get him to stop because you love your dad, However, there does come a point where it's just like if the person has resigned themselves to this is what they want to do. I mean, if he just had his fucking second heart attack and the doctor's going, listen, you're going to die if you don't stop smoking, and he walks out and literally just lights up a cigar, obviously he's a complete addict, but I don't know, he's not fighting it on any level. So I don't know, depending on how exhausted you are. I know myself, after a while I would just say, you know what, fuck it. And it would suck, because if my dad died like that, there would be a definite level of resentment and anger that I would have at him. But I just think maybe the peace you can find is that he's addicted. He's an addict, and this isn't your father making this decision. It's the chemicals and all of that shit that makes you do this. That's really unfortunate, and there's really nothing funny in there. Jesus. I was going to smoke a cigar tonight, too. I guess that's out the goddamn window. Jesus Christ. Get to the Long Island shows here. I'm getting ready to do this special. And I had Vinnie Mark open it for me. We were having a great time talking about the old days. And he just was really just such a fucking nice guy to me. Like as I was telling you when I first started out. And but he knows all like the Long Island stand-up history because he was a part of it. And he was saying right down the street, and I always heard about this place, was the East Side Comedy Club. And this was this place out in Long Island where like fucking everybody got their start. Eddie Murphy, Ray Romano, Kevin James, Rosie O'Donnell, Paul Reiser, Jim Carrey. This guy Richie Minervini. I'm going to say his fucking name wrong. I can't read. Minervini. Oh, fuck. Where's the article? This is the wrong goddamn article here. All right, I'll just read you this article. It says, Richie Minervini should have worked for NASA because he helped launch the careers of so many big-name New York comics. And it's the ones I just mentioned, right? And Eddie Murphy, Ray Romano, Kevin James, Rosie O'Donnell, Paul Reiser, Jim Carrey, director Judd Apatow. A lot of people didn't know when he started to do stand-up again, but he did that before. He did stand-up initially before he did The 40-Year-Old Virgin, Knocked Up, and all those huge movies. And now he's back to doing stand-up while also making all these great movies. So anyways, all of their comedy bones, made their comedy bones in the 1980s and 90s in Huntington, Long Island, at the legendary East Side Comedy Club, which closed in 1995. Richie said, I was in real estate in 1979, but I wanted to be a comedian. A top comic who plays all the A-list casinos and works the cruise ship circuit. That was pretty much as high up as anybody got back then. He goes, I got sick of driving into the city trying to get on stage at the Improv or catch a rising star, so I found this restaurant in Huntington and made it into a comedy club. Jackie Mason headlined his grand opening. Jackie asked how I was going to pay him his 10 grand fee with an $8 cover for 135 seats. Richie said, I had no idea what I was doing. So I said, I don't know. And then Jackie was cool and said he told me to pay him next year, which I did. His first regular night of stand-up, listen to this, his first fucking show he ever booked at this club. This is how legendary East Side Comedy Club was. This was the show. Eddie Murphy, right there, over, legendary show. Jerry Seinfeld, Jackie the Joke Man Martling, Paul Reiser, Rob Bartlett, Bob Nelson, and himself. Each person did 8 minutes, and he said, I never dreamed that most of those guys would go on to become big-time superstars. And then he had all these great stories. He said, vividly remembers Eddie Murphy's shoes. He said, just before he went on stage, Eddie would take a brand new pair of shoes out of the box, wear them on stage. It was a different pair every night. Finally, I found out he worked in a shoe store, and he'd put them back on the shelf the next day. How fucking hilarious is that? He said Ray Romano would go on stage wearing a snazzy blazer. He'd take it off, hang it on the chair. So he would just walk out wearing it. He'd hang it on the chair. He'd do his act, then carry his jacket off stage. And then you'd see the price tag on the inside. Ray'd return it the next day for a refund. This guy, Rick, Richie told Jerry Seinfeld that he was hilarious, but he needed to be more dirty. And Jerry was like, yeah, but then when I do the Tonight Show, I'll have to clean it up and it'll hurt my timing. And he said, Richie just smirked and said, sure, Jerry, sure. Like, you're actually going to get on the Tonight Show, which of course he did. Then he just had a bunch of kind things to say about Kevin James and all those guys, saying they haven't changed at all. But, what's his face took me down the street and showed me like the location of where the first thing was. And I'm like, I'm such a fucking nerd for the past, especially if it's something that I'm into.